Hi, I'm Brian King, and welcome to another Marriage Monday. Today, I wanted to talk to you about this old bandsaw that I picked up. I got it for $20 because the person that owned it didn't think it was worth very much. Wasn't working for him. It ran, but blade kept falling off, and he had a lot of issues with it. It made noises it shouldn't, and stuff like that. Now, $20, I figured it was worth it for a challenge. I like to fix things. And basically what I ended up doing was I was hoping it was just preventative maintenance that it needed. And I started with that. I got a new blade for it, cleaned it up really well. But it turns out it needed more than that. It needed an overhaul. Still not a big deal. Um, it The main problem, well, two main problems. One was there was a groove in the tire, and fortunately I was able to sand those out because of the material it was made out of. It was causing the blade to track funny, and it made it so the blade fell off when you were using it, which is not convenient at all. The other issue, which required something a little more major, was the thrust bearings. And that's basically what the blade pushes against. When you push work into it, the back of the blade pushes against these, and they're supposed to spin. Well, they not only weren't spinning, they were totally bound up. I tried cleaning them, but that didn't really work. So I ended up needing to replace them. So why all this for Marriage Monday? Well, it made me start thinking about some of the times in my marriage when I've had to do basically a complete overhaul as opposed to just preventative maintenance. When Ann and I were first dating, actually we were engaged, and before we got married, I told her, hey, when we get married, if we ever get to a point where things aren't working right, just let me know and we'll change. I don't know what I was thinking, but it sounded good at the time, and she bought it, so it worked out good. And that has actually helped us so many times over the course of our marriage. We have gotten to the point where it's not that we weren't getting along, it's just things weren't working. And we needed to make major changes. And sometimes it was just the circumstances. A lot of times it was careers, where we were living. We built a house together. We moved several times. I've had like 4 major careers in the last 38 years. And they were all facilitated by the need for change because we weren't where we wanted to be yet. And we couldn't do the things that we wanted to do because something needed to change. And just like, with this old bandsaw, we weren't sure what it was until we got under the hood and started looking around. So how do you overhaul a marriage? I mean, it's easy with a bandsaw. You just find what's making noise and you change it. You clean it up if you can, or you change it. With a marriage, it's not quite so obvious. You do have to get under the hood. You've got to kind of dig around a little bit and honestly talk about things. I've got one example I'm going to share, and that was when I had just changed careers basically, and it was my dream job. It was perfect for me. I mean, I did have to commute, and it was a salaried position, and it basically required a lot of nights and weekends, but I loved what I was doing. And it was like, this is great for a while, but then it started getting really, really old. The fact that I couldn't be there for things on certain nights and certain weekends. It was a senior management position, so I wasn't able to just do whatever I wanted. I couldn't delegate it to anybody. I had to be the one to do a lot of these things. And the stress level, because of my absence, I was there when I could be, and I was there at different times, and I thought everything was sort of going okay. the stress level just kept rising and rising and rising. And, it kind of came to a point where my wife wasn't happy. The kids weren't happy because they didn't see me as much. I don't think the dog was even happy. And it was one of those moments where we had to sit down and look at it. And first of all, the first thing, the first temptation for me was to be, stop complaining. This is my dream job. This is what I've always wanted to do. We'll make it work. I'm not a quitter. I'm not going to give up. That was the temptation. But when I looked at it from her point of view and listened to what she was saying, that it was affecting the kids, it was affecting everything about our marriage, I knew something had to change. So we sat down, we got under the hood of our marriage, we talked. I was hoping maybe some preventative maintenance and, maybe things would settle out a little bit. But, it turned out there was a major part that needed to be changed. And it was my job. I had to change jobs for the sake of the family, for the sake of sanity in the household. I think we would have gone on for a while, but it would not have been good. It was just too much stress. And I resigned. It was hard. It was a tough decision. We made it together. I didn't feel like she was telling me I had to, because we talked about it. I could see the problems that it was causing. And, fortunately, I was able to find a filler job really quick that was a lot more traditional, gave me a lot more time. It didn't really meet all our needs, but it was what I needed at the time to kind of regroup and get back into the family and get everything working right again. And then that particular job led to another job that paid 3 times as much and made it so that we could move to be really close to it, so I didn't have to commute anymore. One of the problems with the other job was that it paid okay, but it didn't make it so that it made sense, dollars and cents, to move to the area. So I was always going to have to commute. And everything just fell in place and I believe it's because we worked it out together, figured out what our needs were, and made plans and goals to kind of get there. So that's kind of what a marriage overhaul looks like. At the time, it was hard because it's not something I wanted to do, but it is something I knew I had to do after we had talks and discussions and figured out, kind of like a cost to benefit analysis, and it just wasn't worth it. So that's kind of what it looked like for me. I'm not sure what situation you're in, but I know that over the years, our marriage has gotten to different points where we've had to overhaul things, whether it's changing careers, moving, just all the big decisions in life, where to send the kids to school, what to do with different camps and lessons, and all of the different things, the decisions that need to be made when you have kids. It's overwhelming sometimes. And that's what I think is the perfect time to do the overhaul process. And that's basically pop the hood, get in there, don't blame anybody, kind of come into an agreement that you're going to talk about things without arguing. That was a big thing because my wife knew that I was willing to do whatever we needed to do. And so the stress wasn't there. She was able to express the fact that her needs weren't getting met, the kids' needs weren't getting met, and ultimately the marriage was in trouble if we just let it go and didn't do anything. So that's kind of what a marriage overhaul looks like. And, every marriage gets to that point sometime. And like with his old bandsaw, the reason that the person got rid of it was because they thought it wasn't worth fixing. From my point of view, I've got $20, I paid for it. it cost me $40 worth of parts and a little bit of labor. And I mean, it's not a production bandsaw or anything, but it does everything I need it to do. And I can even rebuild it again if I have to. So it was perfect for me. Kind of like with marriage. We come in and the value seems to be going down because there's trouble, because things aren't working. But if you get under the hood and look at it, hey, if we fix this, look what we'll have on the other side. And that's what we did. And that's basically the mindset we've always had is if something's broken, we're going to fix it. Why? Because it's worth it. I got a great bandsaw, and I also have a great marriage because of this overhaul process. So something to think about on this Marriage Monday. Like I said, Marriage Monday is really the nuts and bolts of marriage. I know if you don't need an overhaul now, you're going to need it at some point. So just kind of focus on those ground rules. Don't blame something. You don't blame the bandsaw because it's broken. You work with it. You take it apart, you get under the hood, you find out what's broken, and you fix it. And then it's better. That's one of the things that's always, every time we've had an overhaul, we've gotten to a better place. So I'm excited about that. I hope you have some good overhauls coming up, and I hope that you enjoy Marriage Mondays. If you're getting something out of this, please like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you next week for another Marriage Monday. Thanks for listening.